when I went to work at the bank, I saw someone getting off and on the elevator, and this was a regional office. It was only a couple stories, and they had 2 platefuls of breakfast. And I said, oh man, I'm going to get stagnant just sitting in the chair coming from being in the field. That's what I don't want to be.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
And welcome, everybody. Dustin Harris hanging out in the podcast chair. You know, I think my new moniker is going to be Schmuck with a microphone. I'll probably tell you about an experience I had this morning coming up here in a few episodes. But I received a great compliment from a wonderful man this morning about being a schmuck with a microphone. Nonetheless, want to remind you that we are sponsored by 3 great companies. First, Alamode. Alamode is the software that I've been using for over 20 years. And they, of course, have been around for over 30 years, helping appraisers to do more and to work smarter. Go to alamode.com or 800-ALAMODE for more information. We are sponsored by Working RE Magazine. That is where I go almost every morning, actually, to kind of see what's going on in the appraisal world. You can too. Go to workingre.com. Again, it's working RE as in workingrealestate.com. Finally, we are sponsored by DATAMASTER. DATAMASTER is the ability to save 30 to 60 minutes per report. That's because they download information that you either have to pay someone else to do or do yourself. You don't want to be doing that, folks. Get DataMaster. Go to DataMasterUSA.com. Again, it's DataMasterUSA.com. Well, folks, it's been a while since we've done an appraiser stories. One of the more popular things that we do here on the Appraiser Coach Podcast, I think people just like to hear what other people are going through. I think people like to understand the lives of their peers and their colleagues across the nation. And we have a great guy, part of my Appraiser Academy here today, Mr. Brian Berger. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Dustin. How you doing?
Oh, you know what? Could not be better. It's so fun to sit down with a fellow appraiser and kind of talk about their lives and see what's going on. So I appreciate you taking the time, my friend.
No worries. I'm glad to do it. I look forward to this. I listen to you a lot, and I'd like to kind of give back and not be all take. And
I love it, man. I love it. Well, I appreciate that, and I can't tell you how great it is to be a part of the lives of appraisers across the country, not just on the podcast, but places like the Appraiser Academy, where we have an opportunity to really talk business and really talk about things that you can actually start to implement in your business to become better and more efficient at what you do. You can make more money as an appraiser. That's really where the emphasis is, right?
Exactly.
Perfect. Well, Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background. First of all, where are you located?
I'm in Columbus, Ohio.
Lovely. And I'm sure this time of year is just balmy and beautiful, right?
It's 48 today. That's a little warmer.
That's not bad. It's not bad.
It's pretty gray. Spring has not hit yet. I think we got a little snow last week, but home of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Go Buckeyes. Well, I appreciate you being on the program. Tell us more about your background, what got you into appraising, and a little bit about your business setup.
Yeah, I guess you could call myself a legacy appraiser. My dad was an MAI.
Lovely.
So in high school, I was running to the photograph store, bringing all the appraisers' pictures to get developed, bringing them back, taking the arrows on the location maps.
I did it too, man. I love it. Yeah.
Old school. So, I was a marketing major, and I've always been into houses. I like business. I like the schedule and the freedom that I saw people have as an appraisers. So I got licensed as soon as I graduated in 1999. I graduated from the Ohio State University.
Well, congratulations. That's cool.
Thanks.
Very cool.
Yeah. And then I think I was the youngest appraiser teacher in Ohio. And that was probably in the early 2000s. I got certified in 2006. became, that's back, I think you had to take a test to become an FHA appraiser.
Okay.
They just let you do it as part of your certification.
Right.
So yeah, I go way back. I grew up with appraising. I liked the schedule, and I decided to do it myself. Got married after that, and my wife would come home and say, "What are you still doing in front of your laptop? It's 7:00 at night." And
you're like, you knew what you were getting when you picked me up, right?
And I said, well, you never know. The work comes in, it's feast or famine. So he said, that's no balance. And I said, yeah, you're right. And the market was pretty much crashed at the same time. A lot of my friends ducked into banking and became review appraisers. So that's what I did too. After 12 years out in the field, I went over to Huntington Bank. They're a national bank with their footprints predominantly in the Midwest.
Okay.
And I started reviewing appraisals. I went to the dark side, as some people might call it.
Wait a minute. Are you the guy sending me revision requests? Not that I work for Huntington, but yeah. Okay. You're that guy. I was. So that was, it was interesting perspective. I learned all the Fannie Mae guidelines. I became even more proficient and faster. I think our quota, we had to review about 10 appraisals a day. Wow.
And I got so fast at looking at interior photos, the mouse couldn't keep up with me.
Love it.
But it was nice to jump into corporate America. I learned a lot about policies and procedures. I learned about banks' risk appetites, how they bundle these loans and sell them on the secondary market. While I was at Huntington, I also became a DE underwriter, meaning I could underwrite for FHA, and I became a SARS underwriter.
Yeah, for VA.
For VA. And I got the pleasure of starting the appraisal help desk, also known as the escalation desk.
Oh,
this is where
cool.
The toughest of the toughest would come, where you'd be shaking your head saying, I can't believe this. 3,000 square feet on acreage, 1 bedroom, and they have an accessory dwelling unit. So I'd get to try to reconcile some of those appraisals.
You just described every single appraisal that I do.
Actually, I was just describing one of the tough ones I had this morning.
Yeah.
So anyways, after about 4 years at Huntington, Nationwide Insurance, they've got a digital online bank. I joined their collateral risk team as a consultant. And again, it was a lot of policies, procedures, engagement letters I was writing. Also, trying to figure out how we handle HELOCs. I did a lot of research on, you need some eyes on the property, and then you got to figure out how you're going to value it, whether that's an appraisal, a tax value. And that's where everyone, I think, is coming to these hybrids as a happy medium, the desktops. But
careful with the word happy when you talk about hybrids.
But I went from appraising out in the field for 12 years for my dad's company to joining corporate America, working for 2 different banks. And then Nationwide Bank came to us with about 60 days left in the year last year. And they said, hey, out of these 350 bank employees, we're having a tough time competing in this market space. They said, it's a ton of compliance. It's not as lucrative as we thought. And we had 85 correspondent banks at the time. So I would partner with Fannie Mae, and I'd teach all these correspondent banks how to use collateral underwriter. When I was at Huntington, we piloted collateral underwriter. But they said, all these correspondent banks we're buying loans from, we're not making as much money as we hoped. So we're going to go a different direction. We're going to go after millennial student loans. We're out of the mortgage game for residential.
Yep.
So that's when I opened up my own company here just 3 months ago at the first of the year.
Wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I say I've come full circle.
Yeah, you have.
But I've got a different perspective and a little bit of a different education and outlook this time. So
let me talk about that for just a second, because I've got a dream team, actually 2 dream team members that worked formerly for Fannie Mae as review underwriters, and both of them have told me been very vocal about this, actually, that was the best education that they could have possibly received, because when they do an appraisal, they kind of can get in the head of Fannie Mae and know what they're looking for and what how to cross the T's and dot the I's rather than waiting for the revision request. They kind of foresee the risk assessment that Fannie Mae is going to do. How did being a review appraiser for the years that you were prepare you for now what you're doing as an appraiser on your own?
Yeah, just like you were talking, whatever attributes I know might be a little bit unique with a property, I try to bring that out. When I was reviewing, the most revisions I would send for would be external obsolescence. A lot of appraisers, they would have a property that might back to high tension power lines, maybe be on the corner of a busier road, might even have a partial view of commercial. And it was predominantly ignored, just moved on. So I try to say, hey, here's what I've got. Here's what I'm trying to demonstrate with these comparables, whether that is a busy road. So I try to get in front of it. I try to anticipate, hey, if a reviewer sees this, what's their response? So I try to think as a reviewer as I'm doing these appraisals and just divulge all the information instead of hold back and maybe just kind of gloss over some things. I try to go more in depth and actually explain and give reasoning for what exactly I'm doing and what my thoughts were.
Love it, man. Yeah. So let's fast forward now. You say you've been in business 3 months. Describe what. Yeah. Are you working out of your house? Do you have employees yet? What kind of describe your situation?
The game plan was to work out of my house. We've got a new house. It's got 5 bedrooms, and I thought, perfect. I stayed home about 2 days. I've got a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 5-year-old.
Oh, my word. So you've got a lot of noise in the background. I'm thinking,
I've got I would call it the coolest office space in Columbus. It's a 200-year-old library that they've converted to shared office spaces. It's called Co-Hatch.
Okay.
And hence the name. It's all startups.
Sure.
So everybody's in the same boat. Hey, does anybody recommend an attorney? Oh, sure. There's one right down the hall. Does anyone know a good CPA? Absolutely. So it's nice. We're all starting out. Shared office, so that keeps my overhead to a minimum. And there's really nothing I don't think that you can't do remotely. Mm-hmm. So I do have my first employee. After about a month, I hired a trainee. He was a referral from my dad, and they were maxed out.
Yep.
And it's worked out well. He's an urban planner. He was also a realtor, and he's my go-to for zoning. He can find it quicker than I can, and so he just got his trainee license, I want to say 2 weeks ago. And he's been with me for about a month. So far, it's just myself and a trainee.
Way cool. Yeah. Where do you kind of see yourself going, say, the next few years?
I'd like to expand. Back in the day, I think I took 7 counties on, and right now I'm only doing 3 just because.
Only 3, huh?
Yeah. Well, just the drive time. And
yeah, sure.
I'm kind of equidistant on all 3 of those counties. And one of them I honestly do just to get my foot in the door with some of the lenders that might not have as many appraisers in that area.
Sure.
So in 3 to 5 years, Dustin, I mean, honestly, I would like to open a couple offices out of state. I would like to have one in the West, one on the East, and one in the South. That way I can go snow skiing or snowboarding out west, or I can go visit a beach when it's cold up here. But,
and these are all business write-offs, of course, at this point.
Yeah. And nobody will love this statement, but my argument is that I'm nationally geographical competent. And I know I would still have to get my certification in all these states. And I say that a little tongue in cheek.
Sure.
But I have reviewed nationwide for 7 years, prior to the last 3 months.
Well, you're in a unique situation. Sure, certainly, at least a starting point.
But yeah, I would love to expand and have a couple offices in a couple different states, especially ones I'd like to go visit.
All right. Well, let's bring it back home. Let's go back to Columbus, Ohio. Tell me a little bit about Columbus. What makes it unique as appraisers, of course, are listening across the country. Maybe some have been there. Maybe a lot of us have not been. What's unique about Columbus?
Columbus is actually one of the largest cities in the country. I think it's right around 15th. it's larger than Cincinnati. It's larger than Cleveland, which are the other two big cities in Ohio. And we're about 2 hours south of Cleveland, 2 hours north of Cincinnati.
Okay.
I think Chicago obviously is the biggest, and then possibly Columbus or Indianapolis. But it's home to one of the largest universities in the country, and Ohio State's campus is almost like its own city, which makes it unique. And it also brings a lot of younger people into the city. They come from college and they really like it. I've heard Columbus referred to as the largest small town in America.
Okay.
One of the coolest sections is where my sister lives. It's called German Village, and it's just south of downtown, but it's a 200-year-old historical district, founded by German immigrants, and it's still got all the characteristics, the brick streets, the sausage houses,
Sure, that's cool.
Beer steins, yeah. So it's
German chocolate cake.
Oh, yeah, strudels, all that stuff.
I just care about the cake.
But what I like at Columbus, it's a lot of suburban, there's a lot of urban, but in 20 minutes you can be pretty rural as well. So I see all styles, from horse farms to high rises.
Interesting. Yeah, and probably some on the same day.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. All right. You've been doing this a long time, obviously.
19 years.
Yeah. So tell me what's the most disturbing thing you've experienced as an appraiser?
Well, I love sharing these stories, especially with my old review appraisers. I know everybody's got a couple.
Sure.
I was, and this is back before I was working with the banks. I went to a smaller rural village, we'll call it, and the Catholic diocese was buying a house. And I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. I went to Catholic schools my whole life. I'd never seen the Catholic diocese buy a house. I think they had a priest moving in the neighborhood and they're going to buy him a house. I thought it would probably be vacant. I got my keypad out, my MLS lockbox on my super key, knocked on the door a couple of times. And as soon, and I know this happens to everyone, as soon as the lock pops, then somebody after about 5 minutes answers the door. I don't know did you ever see Office Space?
No, I didn't.
Okay. There's a character that answered the door. His name's Milton, but describe this guy. He's probably in his mid to late 50s. He had a sleeveless white rib T-shirt on, slicked over greased hair parted to the side, big Coke bottle glasses, and his boxers on.
Okay. All right. I got the picture now. I don't want to have the picture now, but I got it now.
I said, hey, I'm an appraiser. Didn't know if you knew I was coming. And I can't remember what he said, but he let me in. And he lived there by himself. And I thought this was extremely unusual. There are about 1,000 glass porcelain dolls here surrounding the interior perimeter of the house. Probably about 1,000 of those porcelain glass dolls.
Just on shelves? I'm trying to imagine this.
Yeah, shelves,
wow, weird.
Floors everywhere. And he just said he collected them.
Okay.
And the dogs were the doll babies were the eyes open and closed. And
sure.
They're kind of freaky to look at anyways. But so anyways.
Yeah, don't they have a couple horror films that have to do with those types of dolls?
That's where my mind went. He had a cellar. And I thought, as soon as I go in this cellar, I'm never coming back up. I made sure I had my cell phone on me. So I did one of those where you take your camera and you kind of spin it around and take a bunch of pictures. I was afraid to go further down from my waist in the cellar. I was picturing it puts the lotion in the basket.
Oh, yeah.
Buffalo Bill. My friend said he might have been wearing your skin if you went down there.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So anyways, nothing happened. It was just unusual, a little bit creepy.
A little?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Humorous story. The funniest things happened to you.
Funniest thing is appraising a very simple condo. Nothing to it. It was, I think, a block away from my dad's office where I was working at the time. Well, I called it, they had an attack cat. I call it an attack cat. This cat tried to jump on me, claws out multiple times, where one time I had to close the bathroom door. So I'm in the bathroom and this cat wasn't declawed. I called the office. They couldn't stop laughing.
You said, I'm stuck in a bathroom. There's a cat out there and I don't.
Yeah.
I love it,
man. They loved it. I got out of there unscratched somehow.
That's good. You crawled through the window, right?
Yeah, you would have think. I did have another cat experience. I was on a high rise, probably 30 stories up in downtown. Did you ever see Meet the Parents?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Remember Jinxie Cat?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I'm trying to demonstrate what a great view this is, showing, the 5 bridges in the river. I had the sliding door to the balcony open. We're about 30 stories up. Jinxie Cat jumps on the railing of the balcony.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm just going, oh my gosh. I'd hate to go to grab Jinxie and he jumps off. So I just left the door open, continued on my inspection, and the cat came back inside. But that had me, I was thinking of a Ben Stiller movie.
Dear Mr. Homeowner, remember your cat?
Yeah.
We're talking with Brian Berger, appraiser stories today, and love catching up with appraisers across the country. I also love telling appraisers about great things that they can do in their business to be more efficient, more effective at what they do. Of course, one is a la mode. Just set up a new server in my office. In fact, just this afternoon, we're having a bit of a webinar teaching other appraisers how to set up a server and do so with Total, with a la mode, that allows them to be able to be most efficient, most effective at what they do. Folks, I've been using this software for over 20 years and just not tempted to go anywhere else. I've used some other programs, and there's a reason I stay with a la mode, and there's a reason that they are the leader in the industry. If you're not using a la mode, folks, what the heck are you waiting for? Check them out. Go to allamode.com or pick up the phone. It's actually a really good experience. I know it's a sales call. I get it. But I'll tell you what, picking up the phone and calling a la mode and just asking your questions will open your eyes, I think, to some of the things I've been talking about on this program for years and years. Call them at 800 a la mode, or again, you can go to the computer and go to allamode.com. Another great company that I work with and have been for years, of course, is DATAMASTER. DATAMASTER is the opportunity to download, tax information, MLS information, MC sheet, and it fills out your form directly without you touching other than just one button. That's why they save you 30 to 60 minutes per report. And right now, DATAMASTER 6 is rolling out across the country. Folks, you will want to get online. Go to datamasterusa.com and check out the map, check out their coverage area, and find out where DATAMASTER 6 is, when it will be to your area. But even if you've just got, and I say just very tongue-in-cheek, DATAMASTER 1, the original version, you're going to save 30 to 60 minutes per report. That's on average 45 minutes per report, folks. What are you waiting for? Go to datamasterusa.com. Finally, we are sponsored by Working RE Magazine. This morning, I woke up to an email from Working RE. I clicked on it. I read the article. And, I'll tell you, the people over there at Working RE not only know what's going on in the appraisal profession, but they also care about appraisers. And the information that you get there is absolutely amazing. The benefits that you get from going to Working RE and checking out their webinars, their continuing education, so many things that you can learn there at Working RE. Folks, if you've not been there lately, please go there now. Go to www.workingre.com. Once again, it's www.workingre.com. And we're back, folks. We're talking another Appraiser Stories episode for you. It's been a while since we've done one of these, but I love opportunity to talk to my fellow appraisers across the country. This one happens to be a member of my Appraiser Academy, so I get an opportunity to teach and talk with him on a monthly basis, but he volunteered to give back a little bit today. Mr. Brian Berger from Columbus, Ohio. Welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Dustin.
Good to have you here, my friend. I've really enjoyed our talk so far. Tell me, let's learn a little bit from you. Let's not reinvent the wheel, if you will. Let's allow your failures to help our success. What maybe your biggest failure in life that you kind of regret looking back on?
So when I was working in a cube as a review appraiser,
the cube, he says affectionately,
I don't want to do this my whole life.
I hear you.
So anyways, I took a couple of days off work. I've got 2 golden retrievers, and I went to walk them in Columbus, Ohio. It was 40 degrees, raining sideways. And I said to my wife, is there anywhere we can go indoors and get these guys some exercise? She said, no, but there's a place in Los Angeles, California, in Hollywood, and they're franchising. Long story short, a couple months later, my wife gets laid off from pharmaceutical sales. All her drugs went generic, and she's pregnant with our first. nobody wants to hire her in sales when she's so far pregnant. They know she'd go on maternity leave as soon as they got her trained. So we went out to Hollywood and we bought Zoom Room Columbus. And it's everything you can think of doing with your dogs. We had a hound lounge indoors. We had a doggy disco. We had a yappy hour.
Oh my gosh.
5,000 square feet. I think it was the biggest pet store in the Midwest.
Wow.
All made in the USA, eco-friendly dog treats, toys, 2 indoor dog gyms. And the media loved it. We loved it. We had 900 members, but the payment there, the rent was like leasing a used car. You had to sell a lot of dog food to really, there wasn't enough revenue stream. So after about a year, and the build out was fantastic. It was a cool place, but after about a year, we sold that at a liquidation value. And, my plan was to try to take it to a couple other cities, Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, Cleveland, Cincinnati, and then just be done.
Right.
But, I try to look at it as a learning experience versus a failure.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. What are 1 or 2 lessons that you learned from that experience?
Well, I did learn that if you're going to go into business, you really want to know all the A, B's, and C's. I knew nothing about retail. I knew nothing about dog training, except that my golden retrievers love to go to those classes.
Sure.
It just makes you think of all aspects of a business. My thought was, hey, we like it. There's a need for it. The demographics work with the parameters of the franchise. There's a 0% fail rate. We're good to go. And, so I'm glad I went for it, but, it took a while to recoup all those initial investments. But, so my wife's back in pharmaceutical sales. I'm back in appraising, but we gave it the old college try.
Very cool. Very cool. I've been there, done that. Not with doggy training, but failed ventures. And, you learn a lot from those experiences. Let's roll into your biggest success then.
Yeah, this might surprise some people. My biggest success is when I went to work at the bank, I saw someone getting off and on the elevator, and this was a regional office. It was only a couple stories, and they had 2 platefuls of breakfast. And I said, oh man, I'm going to get stagnant just sitting in the chair coming from being in the field. That's what I don't want to be. So I got a trainer, and I worked out every day at lunch with trainers for the last 7 years. And it feels like I've really gotten myself in shape. And it's really just having young kids, liking it just helps me in every way. And I think that's my biggest accomplishment was getting back into shape and making that a priority. Well,
you put that on hold though when you came back to appraising, right? I mean, there's
Nope.
no way appraisers can work out.
Every day. Still, well, you know what? I went from 5 days a week to probably 3 or 4. But as long as I can get 3 or 4 during the week at lunch, and then, on the weekend, on my own time, I'm good.
Well, I can only see you from the shoulders up, but you look marvelous.
Thanks, Dustin.
Well, good for you, man. We may have to talk off air here in just a little bit. I've been thinking about a trainer myself because I belong to a gym. Well, I won't go into that. We'll talk later. I go to a gym, but let's just say that I'm interested in the trainer aspect. All right. We talked a little bit about where you see yourself in 3 to 5 years. Let's talk about the industry a little bit. Where do you see this profession in 3 to 5 years? What are your predictions, Brian?
I'm going to predict that they're going to raise the OCC will probably raise the residential loan amount like they have been for commercial recently. I did talk to some chief bank appraisers that said for now it's staying put at that $250,000 threshold. But I do anticipate that will probably, that'll probably raise, and depending on your bank or your lender's risk appetite is what they'll do with that. I see the hybrids, the desktops, I see those increasing. I enjoy them. It reminds me of my review appraiser days. I'd rather be an analyst. Hey, if you want to go measure the house, I'm all for it. It snows here. Takes me some
sideways, you mentioned.
Yeah, I'd rather just have the facts and analyze. I do see The hybrids and the desktops, especially for what they might call cookie cutters.
Yeah.
I see full-blown appraisals on the more unique properties still. But I see that trend continuing on the hybrids. And other than that, I don't see a ton of immediate change. It seems like conservative banks, Fannie Mae, they're all a little slower to react. But with technology and everything, I think most lenders will want to have at least a third party inspecting a property from at least the exterior, as well as an appraiser analyzing on the back end.
Spoken like a true reviewer.
Right, exactly.
Who understands risk. Okay. Helpful tip. One helpful tip that you can give appraisers today, Brian.
I've got 3. Stay educated and network. And don't be afraid of new opportunities. I didn't want to go into banking, but I'm so glad I did. I learned so much. So don't be afraid to branch out.
Very cool. A 3 for 1 today. Are you ready for the lightning round, my friend?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Number 1, inside out or outside in?
Inside out.
Interesting.
That way I don't track snow or mud through the house, and I don't have to go back to the door twice. I go once, go in. I think if you go outside and then you got to knock again.
Yep, you do.
I think it's easier just to say, heading out. You'll see me out there for 10 minutes and then I'm
gone. Okay, cool. Tape roller or laser?
Laser.
Tablet computer or clipboard and pen?
iPad.
Lovely. Appraiser software?
A la mode.
Favorite thing to do when you're not appraising?
Golf. I'm a
really?
big golfer.
I thought you'd say walk your dog, but okay.
Well, now that I have 3 kids that are 5, 3, and 2, I don't have as much time to golf, so I've shifted to tennis. I can bust tennis out twice a week in about an hour and a half.
That's cool. Good for you. Yeah. And one goal you have for this year?
Hire an appraiser.
Another.
Very
cool, man. You are expanding.
Trying to.
Good for you. Good for you. Brian, thank you for joining us today from Columbus, Ohio. I really appreciate getting to know you, and I think my listeners can all learn from your experience.
My pleasure, Dustin. Thanks for having me.
It's been my pleasure. Trust me. And folks, if you are interested in being on the program, it's I'm going to unpause you here for just a second. I've got you muted, Brian. I'm going to unmute you again. I just want to ask, there's a lot of people that are intimidated about coming on the program. How was it?
It was great.
Okay.
It was minimal prep. I do much better than reading, from notes or scripts. It was very painless and enjoyable.
Lovely. I love that. And I hope others will listen to that and have an opportunity to come on. Folks, reach out to me. I'm on Facebook. I'm also at thecoach@theappraisercoach.com. Would love to have you be a part of the program. Please reach out to me, thecoach@theappraisercoach.com, and we'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star Team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.